Well, first of all, many thanks for the invitation and congratulations to the survey team for the work on Treban and Glyder Fawr. My interest, is indicated in the agenda, is in metric hill lists, and of course 1,000 metres is an extremely important benchmark in any British metric hill list. So Jim Bloomer is my co-worker on this. He's not here today, but I just want to say a little bit about the background to metric hill lists and metric maps in this country. In preparing for this talk, I was reading the historic part of the Ordnance Survey website, and I was interested to see that the idea of 1 to 50,000 maps isn't new. I remember them coming out in the 1970s when I was at school, but actually was originally proposed by William Roy back in the 18th century. Of course, the older maps, the traditional 1-inch maps, had an imperial scale, and the contours and spot heights were based in feet. So traditional hill lists in this country have basically used height criteria based on feet. However, map making took a significant step forward in 1935 when the Davidson Committee of Ordnance Survey proposed both 1 to 25,000 as a scale for maps, and also they introduced the notion of the national grid system, which is based on a 1 kilometre square and is very important for any navigational grid reference. In fact, many people in this country, such as people of my parents' generation who were educated in Imperial, got to know the national grid system and didn't realise they were navigating to a 100-metre accuracy. I was interested to see that I used to think that the metric spot heights and contours came in the 1970s with the 1 to 50,000 land range maps. But I was interested to see recently that Ordnance Survey actually used metric contours much earlier as part of the International Map of the World project. This project involved creating maps from all around the world using a consistent projection and contouring system. This extract from North Wales, you'll see the familiar OS grid, and you'll see the familiar height of Snowdon as 1,085. There doesn't appear to be such a good job done with the gliders because the 800-metre contour seems to be missing. But it's interesting that you'd see that the altitude tints are based on metric heights, including 1,000 metres, and it was published in 1956. However, metric maps really came in big time in the 1970s with the publication of the 1 to 50,000 maps, and the second series involved a completely new survey using metric contours and metric spot heights. And at this point, I think it became very logical and indeed safe for hill walking to use metric rather than imperial units for navigation. It seems a little bit pointless to use units different from the ones that are used on your maps. However, a lot of people in Britain follow hill lists. Now, many of these have a very fine history and are very popular. Unfortunately, the height criteria they use tend to be at rational numbers of feet, such as 2,000, 2,500, and 3,000, which means that they don't really line up very well with the contours used on modern 1 to 50,000 or 1 to 25,000 maps. Back in the 70s, when I was interested in hill walking and interested in hill lists for the first time, I'd somehow expected that an alternative set of lists would come about, but that never really happened. So last year, Jim Bloomer and I came up with a new classification which was aimed to be compatible with modern metric maps. And we put in a number of breakpoints based on round figures in metres of 500, 750, and of course 1,000 metres. And we created a more general framework, which was a classification that we called the UK Prominent Peaks. It's a classification of over 1,500 peaks covering England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. And within this framework, we provide tabular data online, plus links to a wide range of mapping sites. You can access OS maps for particular peaks using GetAMap or StreetMap. And we also have regional maps based on Google Maps. The idea of this classification really is to provide a framework for people to create their own hill lists. You could literally roll your own if you wanted to. But because we thought some people would be interested in some ready-made metric challenges, we did create two. One is the Loomis Challenge, which is the 158 UK peaks which have a prominence of 500 metres or greater. And the second one is the Prominent Thousanders, where the peaks have a minimum prominence of 100 metres and a minimum height of 1,000 metres.
Could you explain prominence, please?
Yes, prominence is an idea from topography. Basically, if you think of a given mountain, the prominence of it is how far the minimum distance you have to drop down to go to a higher peak. So on an island, the highest point is the height is equal to the prominence, but for something like Glyder Fawr, its parent peak would be Snowdon Urquhart, so it's the drop you'd have to go from there to get up to the top of Snowdon.
But by that test, Glyder Fawr and Glyder Fawr would be separate peaks by your prominence test. How prominent are they?
The prominence of Glyder, I have the data on my laptop, I'm sorry I don't have it to hand. The prominence of the drop to go from Glyder Fawr to Glyder Fawr is less than 100 metres. So that doesn't actually make our list because the prominence is too small.
It's not prominent enough.
It's not prominent enough indeed, yes. Obviously the classification can be extended. We just wanted to limit the size of the list, and we think 1,500 is enough. But obviously people following the list, we fully expect them to do a whole ridge. We don't think people would ignore a peak simply because it didn't make the list. So, obviously, 1,000 metres is a very important break point in our classification. So, the news today, the remeasurement of Glyder Fawr is very significant. So, it joins the top category in the UK prominent peaks. In fact, it becomes the 134th prominent thousander. And so we need to do our first revision of our list, first correction. So as soon as possible, there will be a new version of the maps and the tables produced with the new data for Glyder Fawr and Trevan. I must apologise, I don't have hands out with me, but if anybody wants copies of the slides, let me have your email address and I'll be pleased to pass them on. Thank you.